I hope you're tired of losing arguments. I hope you're tired of looking like a fool. I hope you're tired of even proving your logic, and yet the other person doesn't change one bit. Today I'm going to teach you how to never lose an argument again. Okay, and I'm just going to go straight to it. The first thing that you got to do is understand that the best way to win an argument is to not have one. I know it seems stupid, right? But like, this is what you're always told. But I'm going to teach it to you in a different way so you actually understand. When you argue with a person, what are you actually trying to do? Are you trying to prove your logic, or are you trying to change them? Because most of the time we get caught up thinking about, oh, how do I prove my logic? How do I prove my logic? When we don't understand that humans are innately emotional creatures. I don't care how much logic you throw at me. I can say I care, and every human will say that they're absolutely logical. But almost none of us actually care about the logic. We care about how it appeals to our emotions. Alright, so if you go in there and you're like, I'm right, I'm going to prove you wrong, I got my logic straight up, do you think that they're actually going to change their behavior if you come in there like that? If you come in there just trying to prove them wrong? Bro, nope. When is the last time, let's be honest, when is the last time that you admitted that you're wrong? Openly. It's probably been a long time, right? Same for me. I don't admit that very often. So why would we expect that anyone else would? Because that's what you're trying to do when you go into any argument. So instead of trying to attack them, understand that you're trying to convince them. You're trying to change them without actually proving your logic. So throw all of your logic out of the window. That's not the way you need to approach the argument. So what you need to do is you need to never say that, oh, you're wrong, right? Always just ask questions. And a good starter to this, right? If you ever get into a disagreement, what I say is, oh, really? Like, if they disagree with me, I'm like, oh, really? I didn't really think about it that way. I'm probably wrong. Can you tell me more? That's all I say. Can you tell me more? I'm probably wrong. Those words break down the barriers that they've already built in their mind. The barriers from letting you convince them. A good analogy to negotiation is like, imagine you're a company, right? You're selling a product to a customer. And the customer's like, well, why can't I get this product from somewhere else, right? And you're like, well, we have this effect and this benefit. Like, let's say you're selling cars, right? Well, we have a nice steering wheel, we have heated seats, we have nice tires, whatever, right? But then the customer's like, well, this other company over there, they have like a really clean dashboard. Their seats recline more than yours. Their seats, maybe like the wipers are cooler or something, right? I don't know, whatever. When you attack them with logic and you're saying, oh, well, we have this benefit and this benefit and this benefit, suddenly they're like, oh, shoot, so I guess this is a logical argument, right? So let me just start listing what the other company also has. And they start going with their logic. But the thing is, when they start stating their own logic, they sell themselves to that idea. It's not completely logic. It's like when they say those words, now, if they're proven wrong, like they don't want to admit that they're wrong. They've already said those words. They can't go back on those words. When they say those words, they're selling themselves to your competition because you attack them with logic. It's the same thing with any negotiation. If you attack them with logic and they use their own logic, they're selling themselves to the ideas that are opposing yours. So do not attack them with logic. Instead, just say, oh, really? I might be wrong. Tell me more. And when you say it like that, they're like, all their barriers are gone. They're like, who is this guy, right? And then they start explaining and explaining and explaining. And the thing is, most of the time, like if you're actually right, then they'll literally sell themselves to you. They'll be going through their words and they'll be like, oh, wait, that's not even right. And then they'll correct it. If you just attack them, they're just going to get heated and they're never going to accept that. And if you're wrong, honestly, if you're wrong in an argument, you need to admit that you're wrong. Don't hold on to the fact that, oh, well, I already said this. You need to understand you can't be like everybody else. Everybody else doesn't want to admit that they're wrong. You gotta be different. Okay, so when you're actually wrong, you say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm wrong. I apologize for making that mistake." And suddenly they're going to like be drawn to you. Whenever you get in an argument with them, they're like suddenly listening to you a lot more. And it's so much easier to convince them. So when you're in the conversation, when you're arguing, you need to get them talking and talking and talking. I always like to just keep asking questions. Like genuinely be interested in them. Try to see things from their point of view. And they'll really explain it and connect with you. And if you're wrong, like if you guys still have a disagreement, it's not like they have any resentment towards you. It's not like they hate you in any way. They're happy that you brought this argument to them because now they understand more. You know, you can't attack them with logic, right? It's the biggest mistake I've always made. You know, whenever I wanted to convince someone, I was like, well, this and this and this. And then my friend, he was like, he would never get in trouble, right? We would do the same things. I would always get in trouble. I'm like, no, I didn't do this. I did this and blah, 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 right? I'm trying to convince them. My friend would be like, I'm so sorry. I apologize. And like, even if he did something worse, he'd still get off. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what did he do? He didn't do anything. He didn't even convince them, nothing. He just said sorry. What is that? Right? And at the time, I just blamed him. I'm like, oh yeah, he's more handsome. And I was like, yeah, I'm ugly, so they just don't like me. But it's not that. It's the fact that he was like, oh, I'm sorry, and then they felt bad. People aren't bad people. They want to feel noble. So if you give them an avenue to feel noble, if you're like, yeah, I promise I will really respect you if you listen to me. I'll promise I'll really respect you if you go along with what I have to say. Then they'll actually be more incentivized to listen to you. My friend was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I really appreciate you for correcting me where I'm wrong. And then they're like, oh, wow. He said I'm sorry. So that means if I say it's okay, then I feel good about myself. I feel like I helped someone, right? So the teacher's always like, oh, yeah, it's fine, no problem. And then he gets off. But me, I'm sitting there trying to argue, and then they're arguing right back. It didn't change anything. So when you're in the conversation, you really need to convince them. Another trick I like to use is get them to say yes early in the conversation. You never want to begin the conversation and have them saying no, right? Because the more you say no, the more you build a negative connection to the argument, okay? You know what I'm saying, right? You start building a negative attitude towards the argument. But if you get them saying yes, and if you start with like something that's basic and they're like, yeah, that makes sense, and like you find common ground, it's harder for them to attack you, right? Because the more you build trust between you and the other person, the more you guys are friends, the more they will be convinced by you, right? It's the same thing as like, have you ever heard the phrase that people don't buy from businesses, they buy from people? It's the same way because they don't trust the businesses. They don't understand that like so what? The business can give all the logic in the world and it doesn't matter. People are going to invest in people because they can trust people, because they know they have that emotional attachment. All right? People are not logical. You can't expect people to be logical. That's dumb. It's honestly so dumb. Right? Maybe in court, yeah, you can appeal to the logic, but it's never going to work in real life. It's never going to be able to actually convince someone, right? Remember the actual goal. The goal is not to prove your logic. The goal is to change someone's behavior. The goal is to change them. And the way that you have to do that by getting their barriers to come down and then almost making them feel like it was their idea in the first place. By asking them questions, by talking to them slowly, by being a person, not a business, by being someone that they trust. You start to implant this idea in their mind that was originally yours, yeah, for sure. But now that you're implanting it in their mind, they're starting to think that it was their idea and they actually get convinced and they change. If you just attack them, of course they're going to sell themselves on the opinions that differ from yours. But if you slowly start to ask them questions and are actually interested, you'll almost plant your ideas in their brain. They'll be like, oh yeah, that is the right thing to do. Right? And they'll change their behavior. It's not about you proving your logic. It's about changing their behavior. Alright, so I hope you got something from the video. Like, there were so many times when I would get in trouble at school and I didn't know what to do, so I just started like arguing. I'm like, yo, I didn't even do this. I didn't really do anything. Like, and I just say whatever, and my friend just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, apologize. And every single time he would get off, and I would just be sitting there arguing. Right? I wish I knew this earlier. So take this information, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Right? Hope you got something from this video. Go out and conquer.